everyone, my name is Chelsea and welcome back to my channel. For today's video, we are doing our second spin for ARC August. So this month in August, I am trying to catch up on my NetGalley ARCs, my advanced reader copies. At the very end of last month, I did a spinner wheel and it picked our first book that I needed to read for ARC August, which just so happened to be The Ginghams by T.C. Kemper. This is a book that came out like the day that I was filming the video, and I was just not reading it yet. And so it actually ended up being really nice that my first book that I needed to read for ARC August was one that recently came out. One thing that I will be doing in these videos is recapping my review of the book that I read from the previous one before we spin for our next one. So the first thing we need to do today is review The Ginghams. This is a middle grade mystery book that is very Stepford Wives coded. And that is what I expected going into this one, but it didn't really wow me. It was just a book. I gave it 3 stars. We do follow our main character of Joni, who comes back from summer camp with her best friend Tyler, and while they've been away, their third best friend May has been stuck at home because she broke her arm before summer camp. It was like an arts camp, so Joni was going for like illustration and art, Tyler was going for drama, and May usually would go for music because she is a drummer. And when they come back, May still has her arm in a cast and everything, but she's also not as wild as they would normally expect. Her clothes are sort of the same, but she does have her hair up in a like slicked back bun, which they're like, she would never do that. Her mom is sort of hippie-esque, and yet at the same time, when they go to see her, she's very obsessed with being perceived as polished and ladylike. So things have definitely been happening, and it just so happens that the Ginghams have moved into town. There are these new neighbors, a mom, a dad, and a daughter that is around the same age as all the other kids in this story, moved in right next door to May, and they are very prim and proper and very focused on being perfect. Both the mom and the daughter have pearl earrings, and it seems like that is the main driving force, is like when you notice that some of these women start to get pearl earrings, their personality changes. Obviously, Joni wants to figure out what is happening, where things are going from there, how to sort of stop this craziness that is happening in her town. And like I said, it is very Stepford Wives coded. And I mean, I'm going off of the movie with Nicole Kidman and Matthew Broderick and Glenn Close and Christopher Walken. That is my area of scope where I'm pulling from. I want to say there's been other things that are Stepford Wives. There might even be a book, I don't know, but it is very much like that. Besides the plot, there wasn't really anything that was like really making me think that I am loving this book. The characters were fine. I did like that Tyler, who is very into drama and stuff, is also a guy who is very into doing his makeup, and they talk about like the different color eyeshadows that he's wearing. He had a crush on a guy somewhere in the past. So like things like that, for being a middle grade, it is very inclusive. But I think the biggest thing for me of why this isn't rated higher is you could tell they were going for commentary on like nuclear families, the ones that are trying to be prim and proper, the ones that you would maybe expect as like alt-right, super Christian, things like that. But they never really fully dismantled it. The closest we got was like, kids should be allowed to be kids because you don't want them to be the perfect cookie cutter of their parents. Like, I should be allowed to do art and things. Like, I don't know. I know it's middle grade, but I was expecting a little bit more from it. They did talk a little bit about like boys will be boys, but again, it was very like pushed off to the side. It was just like a small thing that they mentioned. And I don't know, for the type of things that they were trying to do in the story with the way that everything was happening and people were changing and things, I was expecting a little bit more from it. Like, it wasn't bad. It is currently like a Barnes & Noble pick right now. I saw it when we went to Barnes & Noble recently. And I can sort of see, I do think it would appeal to maybe a wide audience, but I personally was expecting a little bit more. So, 3 stars. It was a book I read and I will probably forget about it sooner rather than later. And so with that, we are now going to pick our next ARC. And in order to do that, we're doing a spinner wheel all month. So I have my spinner wheel here. We had 12 books total, I want to say, on here. Obviously, we took off the Ginghams, so I should have like 11 things on here now. these are the ones that I am behind on this year. I do have some ones from prior to this year, but we're not doing those today. I really want to focus on trying to catch up this year. And then we have a couple things that are not out yet technically, but will be coming out by middle-ish of September. So I did put them on here just in case. And so, like I said, we're just gonna do a spinner wheel and see what thing I should be reading next, and go. Okay. We are going to be reading How to Find a Guy in 5 Weddings. This is by Cynthia Tamati. Okay, let's take a look at this because I don't remember everything about it. This is a book that technically I was solicited for, and I did get it off of NetGalley. They sent me a widget for it. I read and reviewed a different book by this author, and it was one of those things where it was my first time reading from the author. I liked some of it, but didn't love some of it. I think I ended up giving the last book like a 3.5 or something like that. So at that point I was like, you know what? I am willing to try this author again. So this is probably gonna be my last chance for this author. If this doesn't go well, we will see. But yes, How to Find a Guy in 5 Weddings. It's 27 Dresses meets Sonia Lawley's The Matchmaker's List. I know 27 Dresses. I love it. I don't know the other one. And it says, Kimiko Halim thinks happy endings only exist in fairy tales, but her late grandmother's will specifies settling down as a condition to inherit her yarn store, and the family's legacy is the only thing that matters. Kim's plan is to find a guy, date him until the store is hers, then gently uncouple from the poor, unsuspecting victim. But the clock is ticking and her dates have been more frogs than princes. When Rob Carmichael, a perpetual groomsman and self-proclaimed proponent of happily ever afters, overhears Kim's cynical view of love, he's baffled. Having been surrounded by happy relationships all his life, Rob convinces her that he can find her a soulmate in one of the next 5 weddings he's going to. What can possibly go wrong? So I love the idea that she wants to maybe sort of fake date, at least for herself. But it also has that, yeah, matchmaking, somebody trying to find her a love type of thing. I love the idea of this. And like I said, there were things that I definitely liked about the previous book that I read by this author, even if it wasn't like a new favorite. So I definitely wanted to try this one out. And so yes, this is the next thing we're going to be reading, a romance. I have a couple other romance things lined up, so hopefully this is a good one. And that's going to be it for me today. The next time we have this video come out, again, we will review the book as well as pick our next one. And I hope you guys like this type of video. If you do, give it a thumbs up to let me know. Subscribe to this channel if you'd like to see more videos. I do have videos coming out Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays, so I will see you then. Bye.